biggest fan. I'll follow you until you love me. Paparazzi.
I don't give a.
I don't give a damn.
Surprise!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Warlock here. This video is going to be a tutorial on how to sound like Kim Dracula. Now, Kim Dracula is a pretty new artist. He blew up on TikTok. He's got several pretty cool songs out. And yeah, a few people have requested me to do a tutorial for him in the comments. And honestly, I've just been listening to his music a lot, and I thought, oh, I could probably do a tutorial for this. So here it is. So there's a few different vocal techniques that he uses. He actually uses a lot of different ones, but there's just a few main ones that we're going to be covering. Mainly, it's going to be his singing. I mean, he does a lot of his stuff is kind of pretty low-key singing, so it doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. I'll do more explanation on the mixing end. But then also he has his like screamy kind of singing that he does in Paparazzi. So I'm going to be explaining how to do that, as well as how to do his just the screaming he does, like the really high-pitched screaming that he does in most of his songs. So I'm going to be showing you all those techniques. And for the screaming, there's a few different ways you can approach it. I'm going to show you basically almost three different ways to kind of make that same kind of sound. And in actuality, I like layer a few different techniques of doing that scream. And I think that sounds a lot like him, so I think that might be what he's doing. He's layering a few different things. We'll talk about that more on the mixing end as well. But yeah, I'm going to be showing you how to do all these techniques, and then I'm going to be showing you how to mix them in the Kim Dracula way. Just real quick before we jump into it, if you're not already, please consider subscribing. It's free. You can unsubscribe whenever you want, so you might as well, and it helps me out a whole lot. Also, a huge percentage of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed. So if you do enjoy my videos, just don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So jumping right into it, we'll first talk about his screaming kind of deal. Now, when it comes to screaming, most screaming stuff that you hear is Glottal Compression. Like, that's just the best distortion, in my opinion, to put over like melodic vocals. And there's other types of distortion, but Glottal Compression really is just the best one to put on melodic stuff. Like, it just works the best. It kind of gets kind of messy if you try to use other ones with pitched singing. So I think Glottal Compression is what he's using, and it does sound a lot like Glottal Compression. So that's what I'm going to be showing you, and it's basically the same technique as you'll see in my Ollie Sykes tutorial, and kind of similar as what you'll see in my Jarris Johnson tutorial. But basically, Glottal Compression technique, you guys have heard me explain it several times now, I'm sure. Or maybe not, maybe it's their first time. So for the people who it is their first time, I'm going to try to explain it again. To sing with this kind of grit that he sings with, you're going to use Glottal Compression. So what is Glottal Compression? Well, basically you have this thing in your throat called your glottis or your epiglottis. Basically, you're going to do compression of air in your lungs so that when you release air, the air is released at very high pressure, which makes your glottis vibrate or rattle, which is what makes that grit on your voice, which makes that gravelly kind of sound. So how do you compress the air? Well, basically you can do 3 steps. You breathe in, breathe air in your lungs, you shut your vocal folds off like this. When you make that sound, that's what it is. So you're gonna, and then you're gonna push really hard with your abs and your diaphragm, which is the muscle that controls your lungs. It's right under your ribs. You're gonna push all that stuff, just compress, push. So step 1, step 2, and then step 3, push. And that's how you get that Glottal Compression sound. But once you can do that, it's just a matter of singing the melody and doing it while using that technique. First of all, you should make sure you can sing it just by itself cleanly, and then try to do the technique. So once you can sing it, you're just going to sing it with that kind of grit that you can do. With this, I'm your biggest fan, I'll follow you until you love me. Something like that. And when he does the high notes, when he does that high note, until you love me, he like doesn't really do the pitch of it. He just goes into like a high scream. Till you love me! Till you love me! So yeah, so that is that technique. Now I'm gonna talk about his high scream. So when he does do just screams, like pitchless screams, he mainly only does highs. That's kind of his thing, I guess. When I was first listening to him, I couldn't figure out what kind of high he was doing, but in reality, I think it's basically like a false chord high. And then maybe it might be blended a little bit with glottal compression, what we were just using. I'm going to show you, and you could even try to do it with just glottal compression. So I'm going to show you how to do all of that. First of all, just false chord. I'll show you how to do false chord real quick. So false chord is another way of screaming, basically, which utilizes your false chords or your false folds, which are above your real vocal folds, and they just allow you to do some distortion, an extra layer of distortion on your voice. And it's a slightly different sound than glottal compression, but I'll show you how to start, how to get into it. And the way I like to explain to people how to do false chord is to get them to clear their throat like this. Because if you do that, you're already doing false chord. That sound, that's your false chords rattling around. So just do that. Make sure it sounds nice and gravelly, and then just open your mouth as you're doing that. And that's false chord. Now, once you can make that sound, obviously that's really low. So I'll show you how to make it a lot higher the way he does it right now. And in reality, a lot with false chord has to do with your mouth shape. So if you go like this, ooh, it's gonna sound low, and if you open up, it's gonna sound high, even if you're not actually changing your larynx position or the actual pitch, which there isn't really a pitch. So combine both of those things, and you have a false chord that's pretty high. My high false chords aren't super high. Other people's are crazy high. Honestly, I do better high fries. And now I'm going to show you glottal compression high and how to combine it, which I think the blend of them sounds the best. So first of all, you remember glottal compression. So to make that high, it's pretty self-explanatory. But rather than using a lot of pitch, you're just going to use air instead of your voice. So and then make it high. Move your larynx up and open your mouth. It's a little bit quieter than the false chord high, but I think it sounds a little bit higher actually, and it sounds pretty cool. So now once you do that, what you can do is make that sound and then sort of push on that sound really hard and go into more of the false chord area, but you're gonna get into this in-between area between them, which I think sounds really nice. So it sounds pretty high, but it also does have that extra graveliness from the false chord. But yeah, those are the two main techniques. So here is how you mix these kinds of vocals. Okay, hello. I'm going to be showing you how to mix Kim Dracula style vocals. We've got two examples here. First example is from the song Paparazzi by Kim Dracula. Let's check it out.
I'm your biggest fan, I'll follow you until you love me. Paparazzi.
So let's take a look at this first section first. There's 3 tracks that make up this section. The first one is just me singing the hook without any glottal compression, without any distortion added. Not digital distortion, but a vocal distortion. So you can hear it here. Okay, it sounds like that. And now to mix it, this has like the most effects on it. So we've got auto-tune, obviously, not super harsh auto-tune with like 10 retune speed. We've also got a compressor. We got some overdrive, pretty harsh overdrive, and then a good amount of reverb. And by the way, guys, I am in Ableton Live, and a lot of people ask me to show you guys how to do it in Audacity. And I used to make tutorials in Audacity. I probably still will in the future, but I don't really want to hop into Audacity right now. But nonetheless, all these effects you can get in Audacity. So you can get auto-tune in Audacity, you can get compressor in Audacity, you can get overdrive distortion in Audacity, and you can get reverb in Audacity. So all these things, you can do the exact same thing virtually in Audacity, okay? Just look up these effects in the effect rack of Audacity and slap them onto your tracks. Okay, that's this track. And then we have these 2 tracks which are almost identical. They're different takes of the same thing. It's singing the hook with glottal compression. It sounds like this, one of them on its own.
I'm your biggest fan, I'll follow you until you love me.
Okay, sounds like that on its own. We've got 2 of those. They're both panned left and right. This one's panned 20 to the left. This one's panned 20 to the right. By the way, this first one was in the middle. But nonetheless, as far as the mixing on these 2, they're both the same. We've got auto-tune on 10 retune speed. We got a compressor, some overdrive, and reverb, and an EQ. Now, most of these things are pretty subtle. There's not a ton of distortion or a ton of reverb.
or a ton of EQ. They're all pretty subtle. Okay, it's a little bit of distortion, a little bit of reverb, and a little bit of EQ. The EQ is to take out the lows and some of the mids to make it less harsh on your ears, and that's just the same mixing for both of these.
I'm your biggest fan.
Okay, and then we have this section down here.
Paparazzi.
The paparazzi section. So if we take a look at this, they're both mixed almost the same. This one's way louder. It's just have an extra one that's pretty quiet to make it a little bit thicker. But on here we have autotune, 0 retune speed. We want that super harsh autotune sound. We got a compressor. We got some pretty harsh overdrive with like a little EQ on it, and then we've got a tiny bit of reverb. And then on the second track of the same thing, which is a different take, it's almost the same thing except just without a reverb. And it's really quiet. So those two together sounds like this. Okay, and then we take a look at the screaming section over here. So we got a few more tracks on this one, but basically to start out with this little intro track, the I don't give a part.
I don't give a. I don't give a. I don't give a.
So what this consists of, it's pretty simple, nothing crazy on this one. I have a little bit of an EQ, bass boost on this one, and a tiny bit of overdrive, just make it a little bit darker, a little bit grittier, but still nothing that crazy. Honestly, you wouldn't have to do any mixing on this track. I did a little bit, but it's really not necessary. And then after that, we've got, of course, the screaming bits. For this long screamy bit, so the mixing on all these tracks is exactly the same. We got a compressor and distortion, pretty harsh distortion, and we got that the same on both of these two. These are two different takes though, and they're panned left and right, and then the same for this section down here, two different takes, both panned left and right, with compressor and distortion. So, and that of course makes it up. Turns it into that. So it sounds pretty cool. Let me know if you have any questions down below. But yeah, that's how you mix Kim Dracula style vocals.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is the video. That is how you sound like Kim Dracula. Thank you for watching. If you have any other artists you want tutorials for, drop them in the comments. Many more tutorials and videos coming very soon. If you haven't checked out my music yet, go check it out. I have a new single out by now, I think maybe 2 of them. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to post this video, but I'm sure I have some new music out, so go check out my Spotify or just look at the music videos and stuff here on my channel. My music's on all streaming platforms, so go check out my music if you haven't already. And follow me on TikTok, because on TikTok I'm making tutorials and music, vocals related stuff over there, so go check me out over there. If you like this video, you like my TikTok, so go check me out and follow me on TikTok, and also follow me on Instagram if you want to. Here's my Instagram, right there. But yes, thank you for watching. As I said, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next video. I'm Isaiah Warlock, and goodbye.
Surprise!